My first love has always been the landscape. I run around the valley every day and I feel like the wood is the place that I know the best, and I feel most at home here, more at home here than I do anywhere else in the whole world. The buildings I love, but they're almost secondary. If I stop for a moment and look at one, like my house or the studio or your house, I think they're completely beautiful. But for me, it's not about them being individual, standalone structures. Having grown up here and the buildings having come one at a time, they're sort of just an extension of the landscape and the wood and I guess all of us.
So we first came here about 20 years ago and we discovered the old house when Sue was pregnant with Lily and we were living in the adjacent village in a tiny one up, one down end of terrace. I think there was a way of living in this landscape that the old house sort of denied us. Very thick walls, very small windows, no connection with the place. And we wanted to live in a very, I guess, transparent building that felt like, in some ways, you could camp in the treetops. And when we built the house, I think, more than anything, it was a relief that we'd done something. We'd built a house that, I guess, worked in some ways. It was sort of occupiable. You know, it felt like there were a couple of glorious summers where the weather was great, we could open up everything, we had young kids, and we were incredibly happy, I think, with what we'd managed to do. And I think then gradually, I suppose the economy of the way the house had been built began to get the better of us. The weather is really extreme here. I mean, it comes in winter and it feels like you're in a gale or you're in a washing machine for about 6 months. I realised that the house was just too flimsy to be able to deal with that. And also, environmentally, in 20 odd years, everyone's knowledge around how a building performs has changed. It began to sort of eat away at me, this sense of living in a building that really didn't work very well.
It's not about, how lovely the light is dappling on a wall somewhere when actually you feel that the building is not doing what you want it to do anymore. And of course our kids are grown up, so that's had a big impact, I would say, in terms of how we've lived in the house and how we've wanted to live in the house.
How do you mean? They have grown up during the time we've been here, or do you mean they are now grown up so things are different?
Well, I think it's both, isn't it? I mean, we've had to adapt all the time. I mean, I'm sure everyone has this with a house with kids, particularly, is that what seems to work at the beginning very soon doesn't necessarily work, and you're forever moving people around and readapting the house.
I guess I thought quite hard about how we could retain what was good about the existing frame, the existing structure, the existing floors, that kind of stuff. The existing big move, the transparency on the site. Leave that as it was, but really upgrade everything else. I decided that we just needed to get on with it. Found a very good local contractor, Steve, who was up for it. And because of his enthusiasm, again, everything was done on the back of an envelope. But I was really rigorous in how we did it, how we insulated it, how we taped everything up, how we sealed everything. But in simple terms, we overclad everything with layers and layers of insulation and membranes to keep the heat in, the cold out, and the weather out. All the windows have been replaced, and they're all now very good quality, high-performing windows that are smaller than the original windows, which upstairs was fully glazed before. I think when you are young and you build anything, you invest a lot in it emotionally. And I think for me, as I got older, seeing my own naive and youthful architectural moves and preoccupations on a daily basis came to sort of torment me. You know, it was a constant reminder of how little I knew, how naive I was, and it was a sort of reminder of the things I cared about then that I didn't care about now. And I guess part of falling out of love with the building was falling out of love with my younger self, as well as falling out of love with the way that the house had been built. I don't want my family to notice the house either. I don't want them to think of it as a piece of architecture. I don't want them to think about it as something that's been overly considered for them. I want them to have the freedom just to be in it without really it being rammed down their throats as something that is either precious or a piece of high architecture. Renewing the house is, for me, less a process of falling back in love with the physical building as it is about falling back in love with this wider landscape. You know, these trees, this place, this weather, this view, this context, which for me this building is part of and is sort of inseparable from. It really is, I guess, a joy to know that the house is very well built and just works now, finally.